So,
Okay.
last class, let me go to that PowerPoint. We discussed about the cement, the grades of cement and other things. And also we noted there are several types of cements, like this rapid hardening Portland cement, Portland slag cement, Portland pozzolana cement, low heat Portland cement, and sulfate resisting cement. And these, to name few, but under what conditions which cement has to be used. So what I suggest is you have to open your code books, okay? Even after the lecture, at least you please open the code book, and you yourself individually you should have a feel for it. And if you, and please note that the code book is like our Bhagavad Gita or Bible. Whenever we have some doubt or whenever we require some advice, we'll be referring the code book, and we have to strictly follow the code book. So the sequence in which each of the things are listed in the code book need not be necessarily the way we are progressing in the course. So anyway, immediately I want to show you this table, table 4 of IS 456. You can see here requirements of concrete exposed to sulfate attack. This is one kind of exposure condition where it is an aggressive environment or aggressive like a situation which is going to have some effect on the structure. And this sulfate attack usually happens in the chemically affected soils and other things near the industrial regions. So you can see here, serial number 1, it is actually giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Okay, and class. Again, column 2 is showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see here concentration of sulfates expressed as SO3. And this actually you need to do chemical analysis of the soil or where the actually you are planning to construct the structure, and also the groundwater at that location. So after doing analysis of it, once you get those reports, you need to see these, you can see here, if the traces are less than 0.2 and 0.2 to 0.5, like that, you can see here. And SO2 in 2:1 water, 2 is water sample and 1 is soil extract. Water to soil extract. This is a kind of, we have to do some analysis. The details and other things is not in the purview of this course, but you can see it like more details in some advanced courses. But once you are able to get these the amount of these sulfates in the soil as well as groundwater, then you can see here under what situation what kind of cement has to be used. Okay, under like class 1. Class 1 means when the percentage of these SO3 traces are less than 0.2, and then this water to soil extract, in that SO3 content is less than 1 gram per liter, and in groundwater SO3 the amount of it is less than 0.3 grams per liter. If it is satisfying this, then you can go ahead and use ordinary Portland cement or Portland slag cement or Portland pozzolana cement. Like that, you can see here all the way to the down for 5 classes, the different types of cements which code is recommending. Okay, and the next column, if you see the 7th column, it is giving you percentage of minimum cement content. It is, you can see the units here, kg per meter cube. Per meter cube of concrete, what is the minimum percentage of cement content that should be there in this particular, like, you know, whatever concrete you are planning to use under this situation. And what about the next column? Yesterday somebody asked water cement ratio. What is here? You can see here cement is in kg. So it is 1 per meter cube of concrete. 2.8 is the minimum cement content. Once you decide on the minimum cement content, you can calculate. This is the maximum. You can see here, this is the minimum cement content, this is the maximum water cement ratio. So your water cement or water content should not exceed this ratio. Whatever, like, here it is 280 kgs. So 280 using this 0.55 water cement ratio, you can get the equivalent amount of water. That is the maximum water that is permissible by the code for this kind of situation. Okay. And also you can see here on the top what is written: dense fully compacted concrete made with 20 mm nominal maximum size aggregates complying with IS 383. What is this maximum nominal size and other things we will see in today's class. By the end of today's class, you will get an idea. In today's class, I will also show you this IS 383. It actually gives specification for fine and coarse aggregates that we can adopt for our construction purposes, and these fine and coarse aggregate obtained from natural sources. Okay, that we will see what is this IS 383. But the point I want to emphasize is here it is written 20 mm. So whatever the content of cement and the water cement ratio that is recommended here is based on 20 mm nominal maximum size aggregate. What if my aggregate size is smaller than 20 mm? What if my aggregate size is more than 20 mm? Less than 20 mm, more than 20 mm, then you need to apply corrections on this. So, and the table 4, I'm just giving you a brief glimpse of table 4, okay, and which is related to cement, which is given in IS 456. And you can go down, and then some notes are also given. Whenever required, you can go through that notes. And now coming back to this one, what if it is not other than 20 mm? What I have to do? Some correction you need to apply. Where that correction is given, that correction is also given in the code book. The correction is given in table 6. Adjustment to minimum cement contents for aggregates other than 20 mm maximum size, 20 mm nominal maximum size. Okay, so table 4 is giving the details of the type of cement that you need to adopt depending on the sulfates that are present in the soil and the water, the groundwater. And then that is, the table 4 is for assuming the nominal maximum size of aggregate is 20 mm. If it is other than 20 mm, again code is also helping us with some corrections which are given in a separate table. Okay, so what I suggest is you also need to open your IS 456 and familiarize yourself with what is actually discussed in which page. All those things you need to have some idea. Okay, so now let's come back to whatever we are continuing yesterday's class. So yesterday I have not gone through this one. Let's quickly make a note of some of these points. Yesterday we noted different grades of cement: 33 grade, 43 grade, 53 grade. Actually what actually it means, and whether how they are going to affect our strength or quality of the concrete. Let's go through these small notes here. Use of higher grade cement does not necessarily yield high grade concrete, as the strength of concrete depends on the mixed proportion of ingredients. Okay, so you need to do mixed design properly using IS 10262. And just after this going through these notes, I will also show you few of the grades of concrete. You don't need to do actually mixed design. IS 456 is directly giving you how much amount of cement has to be used, what is the proportion of fine aggregate to coarse aggregate, all that is given. I will show you that table as well. Okay, so let's go through this once again. Use of higher grade cement that does not necessarily yield high grade concrete, as the strength of concrete depends on mixed proportion of ingredients. It is possible to produce concrete of wide ranging strengths using a particular grade of cement. as it is done in US, that is immaterial, but you can produce different ranges of strengths using particular grade of concrete, particular grade of cement, sorry. Okay, and use of higher grade of cement. Yesterday I mentioned, if you recall, grade of cement has to do something with the fineness of the cement. Okay, so use of higher grade of cement does not produce better quality concrete, better quality concrete. Two cements of different grades can produce concrete of same quality. Any grade or brand of cement that satisfies minimum requirements prescribed by the code should generally produce concrete of desired properties with regard to strength and durability if proper mixed proportions are chosen. Okay, so higher grade doesn't mean your quality of concrete is higher, or it doesn't mean you are going to get higher strength concrete or something like that. For satisfying the strength requirements, proper cement content, if you want proper some targeted strength, you should satisfy the requirements for proper cement content. That's why the table which I showed you just now, table 4, is showing minimum cement content and also limited water content. And also the table 4, I showed you maximum water cement ratio. That is what is mentioned here. Limited water content, adequate compaction, and appropriate curing of hardened concrete should be ensured. Okay. Durability of concrete, on the other hand, mainly depends on the characteristics of both the materials and the environment in which it is to be placed. So durability of concrete, once again, let's read this. Durability of concrete mainly depends on the characteristics of both the materials and environment in which it is to be placed. I will show you a table in IS 456 which is discussing about different kinds of environments before we'll complete all that in today's lecture. Okay. Beyond a certain age, all grades of cement give same strength. The only advantage is in using higher grade cement is faster rate of gain in strength during the initial 2 or 3 weeks. Suppose you want to remove your farm work. Suppose you are constructing a 3 or 4 storied building and you want to remove the farm work quickly, then you can go for higher grade of cement. But it is going to come with, whenever you want something quicker or whenever you are taking some shortcut, it is going to come with some penalty. What is that penalty? That is the next sentence is telling about it. But the faster rate of hydration results in higher heat of hydration, increased shrinkage, and lower later age strength. Okay. So the faster you gain strength in the initial stages, that actually means faster rate of heat of hydration, higher heat of hydration, increased shrinkage, and lower later age strength. Already whatever strength it has to gain, it already gained in the early ages, so later age strength will be, the gain in the later age strength will be less. Okay. So now let's go to the next point. From durability consideration, code has specified a minimum quantity of cement independent of grade of cement. And you can see here in the table 4, it is not mentioning what grade of cement, for what grade of cement that minimum cement content is. Because irrespective of whatever grade of cement you have, that is the minimum cement content. Okay. A lesser amount of cement produces harsh mix with poor workability. Yesterday we have noted what is the definition of workability. Once again, that is rewritten here. Okay, you can go through it. Workability is nothing but the ease at which you can place the concrete in the molds and it flows and fills the entire mold. Okay, without any gaps or honeycombing. A lesser amount of cement produces harsh mix with poor workability, resulting in honeycombing. What is this honeycombing? If you see that yesterday I have shown you a photograph, once again I am showing you. It is looking like some in honeycomb you will see a lot of holes and other things. That's why that structure is referred to as honeycomb structure. In such a situation, if quantity of water is based on workability, it will lead to higher water cement ratio, resulting in higher void ratio and permeability. What usually happens is, if you observe in the construction sites, whenever the concrete is not having it's not having enough workability, or it is almost very harsh, or it is not having enough flowability, or it's not easily spreading, then the mason, what he's going to do, he's going to put more water in it so that it flows. But that is not the correct way of doing it. When you add water, what is going to happen is that water, when it evaporates, it's going to result in voids, and also permeability of the concrete is going to increase, and it's going to affect your durability. Okay. So now coming back to this one, so this we already discussed yesterday, and let me go and show you one more thing in IS 456. So again, I'm going to IS 456. Let's go to table 3. Table 3, you can see here, it is giving what kind of environment here. 5 types of environment. One is mild, moderate, severe, very severe, extreme. This is how the exposure conditions are classified. Environmental exposure conditions are classified into mild, moderate, severe, very severe, extreme. What is that? How do I know what kind of environment? You need to see. You need to go to the site and see where you are planning to construct the structure, where it is located, and see the environment there. So you can see here mild. What actually mild means? The structure, the concrete surfaces of the structure that you are planning to construct. Okay, protected against weather or aggressive conditions, except those in coastal area. Okay, so it's and if you go down, extreme. Let's read what is this extreme. Surfaces of member in tidal zone, members in direct contact with liquid or solid aggressive chemicals. I hope now with this you are able to understand. So here you don't have such kind of exposure condition, whereas in the last case you can see here aggressive chemicals either in the liquid form or in the solid form. Okay, and similarly the other types of exposure conditions are listed here. You can easily find what kind of where you are planning to construct the structure. If you have an idea about it, you can actually get an idea about the exposure condition, and then accordingly you can actually classify your the environment and where this is used, where this mild, moderate, severe, very severe, extreme. Please note that these are not numbers. These are only qualitatively we are telling where this qualitative information is actually used. This is actually going to be used in our mixed design. IS 10262, there you will be using, and also immediately after this I will show you another table. Okay, and any questions here? Okay, then let's proceed. So this is table 3, which is giving environmental exposure conditions. Now I will show you another table in IS 456. Please note that this is this lecture alone will not be sufficient. You need to actually open your IS 456 and go through it. Okay, with whatever information that we are giving as a part of this lecture. Now let's look at this table 5. What this table 5 is giving? This table 5 is giving, depending on the grade of concrete, depending on the grade or depending on the exposure condition, for plain concrete means you are not putting any reinforcement. Reinforcement is not there. You are trying to just, if you see, when you are in some situations, we don't need to provide the reinforcement. In the plain concrete, like when you are in the foundation, when you are preparing the bed for laying the reinforcement and then later foundation. Anyway, there are some situations where you will be using plain concrete without reinforcement. if you are having that kind of situation for plain concrete, what is the minimum cement content? What is the maximum water cement ratio? What is the minimum grade of concrete? Minimum grade of concrete. It's not saying minimum grade of cement. Please note that. Minimum grade of concrete. So exposure condition, if it is mild, if it is moderate, severe, very severe, extreme. What if it is plain concrete? What is the minimum cement content? What is the maximum water cement ratio? And what is the minimum grade of concrete that you need to adopt? For plain concrete, for the constructions where you require plain concrete, this is what you need to comply with. And now you decided to use, let's say you decided to use reinforced concrete. For the same situation, mild, minimum reinforced, first of all, minimum grade of concrete that needs to be adopted is M20. Okay, and here there is no specification. For mild case, code is not specifying any minimum grade of concrete. So it can be less than M15. Yesterday I told you what is this M, and after that what is that letter? Okay, what is that number? M15 stands for mix. 15 is, M is for mix, 15 is for MPa after 28 days. The compressive strength of concrete after 28 days, it should be 15 MPa. So that is what. So the minimum grade of concrete for reinforced concrete structures under mild exposure conditions, the minimum grade of concrete is M20, and under extreme condition, the same structure. Please see, you are planning to construct a building in mild exposure condition, minimum grade of concrete, you need to use M20, and same structure, nothing is changed. Same number of stories and same number of plinth area or whatever built up area. Same structure, if you want to construct in extreme exposure conditions, you need to minimum adopt M40. Okay, and some notes are given here below when actually you are making use of it, you can go through it, and you can see on the top one more thing, the title, what it actually says: minimum cement content, maximum water cement ratio, minimum grade of concrete for different exposures with normal weight aggregate of 20 mm nominal maximum size. Again, 20 mm nominal maximum size. Whatever tables that are given, they are given for 20 mm nominal maximum size of aggregate. But if it is some other size of aggregate, then you need to go and apply the correction. That correction is given in table 6. Is it clear? And now one more thing I want to show you. And grades of concrete. Grades of concrete. What kind of grades of concrete you can actually do? You need to do mixed design. And what grades of concrete you can actually use, like whatever IS 456 is directly giving the proportions in which you need to mix. So for what grades? So you can see here, ordinary concrete, M10, M15, M20. Up to from M10 or anything less than M20 is classified as ordinary concrete, and between 25 to 55 standard concrete, and high strength concrete M60 and above, M60 to M80, they are classified as high strength concrete. And here whatever I already explained to you, that is what is written here in the notes. In the designation of concrete mix, M refers to the mix and the number to the specified compressive strength of 150 mm size cube. The cube should be 150 mm by 150 mm by 150 mm. It should be square in cross section, 150 mm by 150 mm. The height should be 150 mm. That kind of cube IS 456 is recommending to use to get this compressive strength. Okay, and now so these are the grades of concrete. Ordinary concrete from up to M20. standard concrete from 25 to 55, high strength concrete from M60 to M80. Okay. So before we go further, I want to show you one more thing and then we'll go. You can see here table 9. Table 9 is actually giving proportions of nominal mixed concrete. And anyway, we'll see in detail in tomorrow's class. Actually, for some grades of concrete, here you can see a grade of concrete in the first column. It is starting with M5. M5 means 5 MPa compressive strength after 28 days, gaining the age of 28 days. So M5 to M20. For M5 to M20, you don't need to go and design your mix using IS 10262. If you want to do it, you can do it, but it's not necessary. You can just simply follow this prescription. So if you want, as per this table, if you want M15 grade of concrete, total quantity of dry aggregates by mass for 50 kg of cement to be taken as sum of the individual masses of fine and coarse aggregates together. That should be 330, okay, in kgs. And here it is written max. So maximum is 330. And proportion, you see here, this is actually put together, fine plus coarse put together for 50 kg of cement, fine aggregate plus coarse aggregate. First of all, what is this fine aggregate? What is this coarse aggregate? That is given in IS 383 that we will see before end of today's class. So fine aggregate, coarse aggregate put together, it is 330. So in this mix, in this togetherness, or when you say fine aggregate and coarse aggregate together, so how much percentage of fine aggregate or how much proportion of fine aggregate, how much proportion of coarse aggregate? That is given here. Proportion of fine aggregate to coarse aggregate by mass. Okay. And once you have this, so for 50 kg of cement, you take fine aggregate to coarse aggregate in any of these proportions. And then total weight should be 330 maximum. And what should be the quantity of water? For 50 kg of cement, quantity of water is 32. So what I suggest is you go through this table once again after the class, and if you have any doubts or anything, we can discuss further. Okay? Any questions? So this is without doing mixed design. This is without doing mixed design. I have shown you table 2, which is giving ordinary concrete, standard concrete, and then high strength concrete. Ordinary concrete is concrete which is less than M20. For M20, for concrete which is less than M20, you don't need to go and do mixed design using IS 10262. You can directly make use of the whatever prescription that is given under table 9 of IS code. Okay. So let's move further. And mineral additives, you can also add some additives depending on if you want to replace cement with some, because nowadays all this green certification and other things requires you to use some of the industrial waste products and such kind of things, and we can replace cement with some of these materials. The material which we need to replace cement with is what is called pozzolanic material. Pozzolanic material, the definition you can see here. A pozzolane pozzolane is a siliceous or silicious and aluminous material which in itself possesses little or no cementitious value. Cementitious means it is a binding value, but which will in finely divided form. Finely divided form means when you grind it, or when you grind it to finer, very fine, in a finely divided form in the presence of water react chemically with calcium hydroxide at ordinary temperature to form compounds possessing cementitious properties. And this definition and other thing is given in ASTM, American Standard for Testing of Materials. Okay, so this is what is a pozzolanic material. So some of these pozzolanic materials are given here. The pozzolanic materials such as fly ash is an industrial product. Silica fume is also an industrial product. Rice husk ash, metakaolin, and ground granulated blast furnace slag, conforming to relevant standard. These are pozzolanic materials, but they need to actually satisfy some specifications given in this relevant standards. May be used, okay, provided uniform blending with cement is ensured. So these can be used as substitute for cement, or certain percentage of cement can be replaced with any of these pozzolanic materials if they are satisfying specifications given in the relevant standards. Okay, so these are the mineral additives. And if you see IS 456 table 4, you can see IS 456 table 4, and here you can see ordinary Portland cement or Portland slag cement. So that actually some of the cement companies they actually mix cement and this mineral additives or pozzolanic materials, and then they supply it to you as a packaged material. So you don't need to do it. This kind of replacement or mixing cement with any of these pozzolanic material can be done on the site, or it can be actually purchased directly from the cement manufacturers. Cement manufacturers, you can see here one of the pozzolanic material is ground granulated blast furnace slag. So this slag material actually cement companies you mix with some portion of cement, and that is what is ordinary Portland slag cement, which is mentioned here in the code. Portland slag cement, sorry, Portland slag cement is what is the cement mixed with that GBBS. GBBS is nothing but ground granulated blast furnace slag. Okay, so these can be used as the replacement for cement. Certain portion of cement can be replaced. So now let's come to this aggregates. Aggregates are two types. One is coarse aggregate and fine aggregate. How do we differentiate? So let's read this. Aggregate, what is the purpose of this aggregate? Aggregate is used primarily for the purpose of providing bulk to the concrete and constitute 60 to 80% of finished product. To increase the density of resulting mix, aggregate is frequently used in 2 or more sizes. So actually, aggregates, it's not all the aggregates, you should not use uniform size aggregates. Aggregates should have wide range of sizes, okay? To increase the density of resulting mix, aggregate is frequently used in 2 or more sizes. The most important function of smaller size particles, fine aggregate, is to assist in producing workability and uniformity in the mixture. Fine aggregate also assists the cement paste to hold the larger particles, that is coarse aggregate, in suspension. So this is what the fine aggregate is going to do. This action promotes plasticity in the mixture and prevent possible segregation of paste and the coarse aggregate. Segregation of paste, cement paste and coarse aggregate, to hold them together, this fine aggregate is going to help. Anyway, this is the mechanism, okay? So now let's see how this aggregate is, they are classified and other things. Aggregate shall comply with the requirement of IS 383. As far as possible, natural aggregate shall be preferred. So now let's see what is this IS 383. IS 383 is given here. What is this IS 383? Specification for coarse and fine aggregates from natural sources for concrete. From natural sources, we are getting this coarse and fine aggregates. And what are these? They have to satisfy certain requirements. Okay. So what are those requirements? They are all given in IS 383. So let's see some of these requirements. You can see directly. I'm going to show you some specifications which are given in the code. Limits of the materials which actually harm the concrete. Deleterious materials. Okay. The percentage. What is that material? What kind of material is that? Coal and lignite. Again, code is actually there is a method of test to determine. Suppose you take a fine aggregate, some sand or something, and if you perform this test, in fine aggregate the percentage should be maximum should be 1%. Fine aggregate percent by weight. Fine aggregate percent by in fine aggregate the limit the coal and lignite shall not exceed more than 1%, uncrushed and crushed. Fine aggregate again, it is here, it can be uncrushed or crushed. Similarly, coarse aggregate, what is the limit of coal and lignite? These are some impurities that automatically, because we are getting all these aggregates from natural sources, as a part of that, we may also have this coal and lignite in that fine and coarse aggregate. So code is saying you should not select such a fine aggregate where this is exceeding, okay, 1%. And clay lumps. And you can see here different kinds of materials, possible materials. What is the limit of those materials? What is the maximum permitted? Okay, as per the code. That is given in table 1 of IS 383. Okay, so now let's go to this whatever is written here, write up, and then we'll come back to this that IS 383. Coarse aggregate. What is this coarse aggregate? An aggregate such as crushed stone, crushed gravel, or uncrushed gravel, most of which is retained on 4.75 mm IS sieve. Indian standard sieves are there. If you have taken soil mechanics course, you must have already done sieve analysis. Okay, you already must have seen or at least have an idea what is really sieve. And sieves are of different sizes. And coarse aggregate is which is retained on 4.75 mm sieve. So when you do the sieving, whatever is retained on 4.75 mm IS sieve, that is termed as coarse aggregate. The gray and means that the size should be more than 4.75 mm. The graded coarse aggregate is described by its nominal size. So the size, the aggregate which is greater than 4.75, you can have different sizes. Greater than 7.5, you can have different sizes. And the graded coarse aggregate described by its nominal size. When you have different sizes, what is the nominal size? What is meant by nominal size? Nominal size, a graded aggregate of nominal size 10 means an aggregate most of which passes through 10 mm sieve. Okay, let's go to IS 456, IS 383, or let's complete reading this para, then we'll go there. The particle size distribution of an aggregate is described by sieve analysis. By sieve analysis is termed as grading of an aggregate. So when you do sieve analysis, basically you are grading the aggregate. Okay, strength of fully compacted concrete with a given cement water cement ratio is independent of grading of an aggregate, but affects the workability of concrete. So this grading actually affects your workability. The grade of coarser grading requires more fines to produce cohesive concrete, whereas the finer grading requires more water for the given workability. Suppose coarser grading means you have all the bigger size particles, bigger size aggregates, coarse aggregate. Then you require more fines, then you require more sand. And yesterday I told you to do a small experiment on your own. you fill like a pebbles or something in a beaker or a glass, water glass or something like that, and then you try to put smaller particles. Those smaller particles are going to fill in the gaps between the bigger particles like that. So when you have like coarser grading, that means all these coarse aggregate are almost same size, then you require more fines to fill the gaps between them. Okay, and if you have finer grading, if you have like the size of the particles are small, then the surface area increases. When the surface area increases, yesterday I told you more water is required. So to have better workability, you require more water. Okay. So anyway, this is the physics or something. You can give that kind of explanation. So now let's go to IS 383. Before today, end of today's class, let's complete at least this aggregate. Okay. So coarse aggregates. Table 2 is giving you coarse aggregate. And let's see this table. IS sieve designation is given in the first column. Different sieve sizes. 80 mm sieve, 63. These are IS standard sieve sizes. Okay. So 40, 20, 16, 12.5 mm, 10 mm, 4.75 mm, and even though we are saying the coarse aggregate, just a broad definition is those aggregates which are retained on 4.75 mm IS sieve. Here 2.6, almost half of this 4.75, that sieve size is also given here. Okay. And now when you take a sample of this coarse aggregate and put all these sieves one over the others in this order. So 80 mm sieve is on the top and 2.36 mm sieve is on the bottom, and do sieve analysis. You shake it. If you go to lab, you will see in transportation engineering lab, in IIT Madras or in geotech lab, you can have that shaker. When you shake it, after code is giving some specification, how many minutes you have to shake it and other things. You follow that, and if you do that, and after completion of your shaking, and if 80 mm is retained, on 80 mm sieve, and you can read this percentage passing for single sized aggregate of nominal size. So what is the percentage of aggregate that is passing through 80 mm? So all the aggregate, 100% has passed through. Suppose you did analysis, you did sieve analysis. If 100% of aggregate passed through this 80 mm sieve, and on the 63 mm sieve, 80 to 85% is passed, and on this 40 mm sieve, 0 to 30% is passed. And if your sieve analysis result is going, this actually gives you the limits. This actually gives you the range of how much percentage is passing. So if you need to do sieve analysis and compare with one of these. So if your sieve analysis results is comparable with this, then the nominal size of the aggregate you can classify it as 63 mm. And if your sieve analysis results are matching with this, then are matching in the sense closely, in close with whatever is given in this, it is 40 mm nominal size. Actually, you have seen table 2 and table 9 everywhere in IS 456. There is a word nominal size. What that nominal size is actually you are getting from here. Okay, this is for percentage passing for single sized aggregate, and this is for graded aggregate. Okay, so this is about the coarse aggregate and how it is actually the nominal size is actually obtained. And now let's go and read this one. Size of aggregate, nominal maximum size of coarse aggregate should be. And now I know how to get the nominal maximum size. And with respect to the actual construction, the site issue, how to decide what size of nominal maximum coarse aggregate size I need to use. Nominal maximum size of coarse aggregate should be as large as possible within the limits specified, but in no case greater than 1/4 of the minimum thickness of member. So you know what kind of member you are actually casting. Suppose you have a slab. Slab is 150 mm. Usually it's going to be between 150 mm or even 100 mm to 200 mm in ordinary structures. So slab thickness should be, let's say slab is having that much thickness, then your nominal maximum size of coarse aggregate cannot exceed 1/4 of the minimum thickness of member. So if your slab thickness is 150 mm, you cannot use 100 mm maximum size of coarse aggregate. And you should limit your maximum size of coarse aggregate to 1/4 of the minimum thickness of member. Okay, provided that concrete can be placed without difficulty so as to surround all reinforcement thoroughly and fill the corners of the form. So the idea of prescribing the upper limit on the maximum nominal size of aggregate with respect to the thickness of member is, we want the concrete to flow and occupy everywhere without any gaps, okay, and fill the corners of the form. For most reinforced concrete works, 20 mm size is suitable. In concrete elements with thin sections, closely spaced reinforcement and small cover. So if the section is very thin, or if the reinforcement is very close, or if the cover means for protecting the steel rebars, reinforcement we are going to provide, we'll ensure certain amount of concrete is covering all the rebars. Certain amount of concrete is below the rebar, and that is what is covered. And that cover, concrete should occupy that space as well. So it is saying in concrete elements with thin section, closely placed reinforcement or small cover, use of 10 mm nominal maximum size should be considered. For heavily reinforced concrete members, as in case of ribs or webs of main beams, anyway, we'll see what is the rib and web, and those details we will see as we progress further. So for heavily reinforced members, nominal maximum size of aggregate should usually be restricted to, this is another guideline, okay, 5 mm less than the minimum clear distance between the main bars. You just see the reinforcement drawing, you get an idea what is the spacing between the reinforcement bars, and the concrete should flow between the reinforcement bars. So 5 mm less than that spacing, minimum clear distance between the main bars, or 5 mm less than the minimum cover to the reinforcement, whichever is smaller. Okay, so this is how you can decide the nominal maximum size of coarse aggregate. Okay, and I think time is running out, so we'll stop here, and then we'll continue in tomorrow's class, fine aggregate, and IS 383. IS 383 is also giving you the how to grade the fine aggregate and other things. We'll see that in tomorrow's class. Before we close, let's see this table as well. Table 3 of IS 383 is giving you sizes of coarse aggregate for mass concrete. What kind of different classes and size. Okay, mass concrete means when the amount of concrete that you need to put in a particular location is more. It is what is called mass concrete. And class and size, very large. You can size of the aggregate can be between 150 and 80 mm. Okay, sieve size designation 160 mm. Okay, and percentage passing, and 80 mm, 160 mm sieve size and 80 mm sieve size. Percentage passing on 160 mm sieve size is 90 to 100, and 80 is between 0 and 10. So for very large, very like dams or anything like that, so you can go up to 150 to 80 mm. Between this range, you can make use of the aggregate. Okay, for large, you can, here the classification is given as very large, large, medium, small. If in case suppose if the concrete, the mass concrete can be classified as medium amount, then the size is between 40 to 20 mm. size of coarse aggregate, and what should be retained on the, or what should be passing 40 mmCu cells, what should be passing 20 mmCu cells, some guidelines are given. So sizes of coarse aggregate for mass concrete, that is all given here, okay, in table 3 of IS 383. And in tomorrow's class, we will see the grading curve, grading for fine aggregate. This actually gives you grading for fine aggregate. Here also we will be doing sieve analysis. So you need to take some, fine aggregate is nothing but aggregate having passing through. Here you can see whatever definition that we used here for coarse aggregate, an aggregate such as crushed stone, crushed gravel, uncrushed gravel, most of which retained on 4.5 mmC is coarse aggregate. It is retained here. And if the aggregate passes through 4.75 mmISC, it is called fine aggregate. That's why you can see here in fine aggregate, actually sieve size is starting, or here little bit above that, almost twice of this, that is the largest sieve, but most of the time through this 10 mm sieve, almost 100% is passing. You can see here 100% is passing, and whatever is retained on 4.75 mm sieve, that is what is coarse aggregate, and whatever is passing through that, that is fine aggregate. Okay, so we'll continue in tomorrow's class. And here you can see fine aggregate. There are 3 or 4 types of grading. We'll discuss all this in tomorrow's class. So I'll stop here. And if you have any questions, you please let me know. I'll stop sharing the screen. Any questions? So what I suggest is, Professor Amul?
Sir, then stop the recording also.
Stop the recording. No, let it be. If you have any questions, we'll include that as well in the recording.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, I wanted to, sir, can you explain the mass concrete again? What is mass concrete?
Mass concrete is like a huge amount of concrete, and for like it's not like when you use this concrete that you get from this ready mix plant and other things, mass concrete.
Sir, so it's classified as large, medium, sir. So what does it mean, sir?
It is actually, it is something to do within the, even the size of the structure. Suppose if you see mass concrete, when you say the member sizes, like if you have a dam or something like that, the structure is huge, and when you say some structure where the member size is small, thickness and other things, depending on that, okay?
Sir, so it's qualitative, right, sir? It's not quantitative, means we have to judge by ourselves that if the structure is large or not, large enough or not.
No. This mass concrete is just 1 second. Let me go there. Here, class means actually depends on the member sizes and other things. Okay, and this mass concrete, when you are producing like concrete in large quantity, that is what is mass concrete. And the size, if the size of the member is large, then you can go from 150 to 80 mm. I told you in slab your size of the member itself is thickness is 150 mm. So you cannot use 150 mm aggregate size. But the concrete can be mass. You can produce in a mass quantity the concrete.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Amlan?
I would say it is fine. I think once all the 3 components are over, coarse aggregate, fine aggregate, cement, and then things will be even more clear.
And one more thing, I request all the students, you please open your IS 456 because it's not simply like no, I present something, you just watch it. You should have a feel for it. I suggest that's why I told you even in the beginning, you have a separate device if possible, and then have all the codes there. So you can also flip over the codes, because this IS 456 such kind of things you will be carrying to your examination. Okay, and you should know exactly where each of these clauses and other things are there, how to make use of them, because code is going to be very in an abstract way. Okay, so and that is the reason you have this explanatory handbook and other things, textbooks. So code is like a guideline, but you should also know how to make use of that code. Any further questions, comments? So otherwise, we'll have the next class on 11th August, Tuesday at 11 o'clock.
Okay,
Feel
fine.
free. Any comments or questions? Is it what somebody is saying? I already put everything in the Moodle. You please check your Moodle. Okay. IS 383 is already not in the Moodle. Huh? Sorry. Then I will do it. I will put it. Or you please note that. Please note that all these IS codes are freely available on the web. You just type IS 383. You will get it. After this Right to Information Act came, all the IS codes are freely available. You don't need to actually pay or anything like that. Okay, so let me take attendance. Just wait. Okay, any other questions?
I will just comment that I'm observing that some students are leaving in the middle of the lectures. It is like running out of the class, you know. See, that is not recommended. See, once you have joined, you should have the honor to attend the class throughout. Do not try to skip at the middle. Okay, please be patient and try to attend the full class.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.